And what's up, guys? We have the first one of these here set up in my office. I honestly do not know how this live works. If you would jump in, if you're on here, you catch us live, jump in those comments. This is my first rodeo running this thing solo, but we're going to give it a go, man. Exciting times, dude. It's an exciting time of year. We've got high school season just ended, club season is getting going. Hey, just a PSA. I'm using StreamYard. I don't know if you guys like when you catch this, if you catch it from the beginning and get going, or if it plugs you in with us live. I probably need to mess with our live stuff some more, but it just felt really prompted to pop this thing open and talk to you guys a little bit, man. I've got so much stuff happening here at HQ. At Ironclad, I've been getting asked. It seems like we have so many questions, and all day, every day, I find myself having a conversation and somebody goes, wow, we should have probably filmed that and shared that with everybody else. And so I'm just going to start going live here. We'll get some reps and figure out how to do this and make it not terrible. But I've been getting really convicted, led heavily by the Lord to just kind of open up, turn on the camera and share some stuff. And I get those promptings a lot of times randomly throughout the day. And so I don't know how much of this will pre-record and go out or if we'll just do them live. I'm not sure what makes the most sense, but trying to just navigate this, man. I am just documenting my journey, and we want to help you guys on yours. Okay. So wherever you are and kind of in your wrestling grappling journey, that whether you're a wrestler, parent, coach, I think there's so many ways that we can serve this community. We really want to. And so part of turning these cameras on and going live with you guys is going to be about sharing and documenting that journey, sharing and documenting that growth, and kind of an invitation to things that where we found life and where we found some convictions. And so if you know us, hopefully you'll come hang out with us, man. Hang out, have some chat with us. Would love to have some great conversation with you guys. I'm looking on here. I've got IG happening over here to the right. Looks like it's on like a delay, perhaps. Chandler Akins, what's up, man? Clear picture and sound. What up, dude? What up? Man, something I want to do. I honestly, listen, I'm just gonna be real. I don't know kind of what this is going to turn into. I would love it to be something where I'm using StreamYard right here, so maybe I'm trying to figure out how this thing works. We're just gonna get some reps at it. But man, if there's stuff that you guys like want to talk about and jump in, I'd love to catch up with y'all. I've got a ton that I want to share. And I suspect I'm probably going to wind up having to pull my brother in to help us kind of navigate and run this, and me not be chasing my brain like squirrel the whole time, just bird walking and thoughts and conversation. Let's see him over here on the Instagram. Who we got? AJ Dumpsky. You want to try wrestling? I want to do off season so I can be ready for school wrestling. I don't know what grade you're in, man, but you should definitely pop into that club stuff and see what's going on. My StreamYard is not working. I don't feel like I can't see anybody else's comments, but I can see them over here on the other. So I need to figure out what's up with this. Really painful. Man, I don't know what this is about, dude. I'm sorry this is so painful. We will probably try to clip some of this stuff and give it back to you later. I'm just going to go into some stuff that I feel like Lord's really prompted me on. So, firstly, I just want to say, like, man, I've got, I grew up in wrestling. We've done this a long time, and we were a first generation wrestling family. And so wrestling was, we did all those things for the first time, like so many parents and families that we are talking to this time of year. That's like kind of one leg of the journey. Wrestling's been really fantastic to me and my family for a really long time. I'm talking about this because I know there's some local people who know this, but there's a lot of people elsewhere around the country that don't. So I'm going to kind of lay these thoughts down. We've been doing this a long time, 25 plus years, I guess. Wrestling's kind of consumed my family. It's really our ministry. It's the place that we really feel called. And I don't know, man. I just feel the joy of the Lord when I'm coaching wrestling. I really love it, enjoy it. And what I found is that, so I didn't grow up in a hotbed of wrestling, mecca of wrestling. We live in Birmingham, Alabama, but we do live in the hotbed of it's the Bible Belt, right? So there's churches everywhere. And so I grew up without without the greatest wrestling instruction. Everybody was doing their absolute best they could, and I'm super thankful for all those men because they were a big part of my journey. Some really cool pioneers in Alabama that were part of my coaching journey or my athletic journey. But and so I didn't grow up in Mecca of wrestling world, but we did grow up in kind of Mecca of churches, so to speak, right? Or a real hotbed for truth. And I had some incredible, I'll say, coaches in the kingdom. Pastor Mark Carell, who's passed away recently, and even our pastors now, Gabriel and Mike Wright. These guys are fantastic. So I've grown up with incredible teaching really my whole life. My parents were great in that department as well. And so we just feel I just feel really called to start sharing some stuff that's crazy. And I'm saying that very honestly because it's kind of terrifying to be that vulnerable and open on the internet. But I really feel like I'm supposed to do this more. And so, rewind when we started Ironclad 10 years ago. So we just celebrated our 10th birthday about a month ago. We didn't celebrate it, but a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary, our 10th birthday. So that's exciting. And that journey's been pretty cool. There was 10 years before that were pretty cool. And so we're excited about kind of the next chapter. I feel like this is the beginning of that next era. And so, yeah, man, look, if you are a truth seeker, I think you're going to like what we're talking about here. There's kind of two things. I feel like on one hand, there's the wrestling community, and we want to talk to those people. On the other hand, there's believers, and really non-believers too. But there's like really a whole faith conversation. And we want to kind of stand in the middle of that. And then we want to invite that third group of people that are really non-grapplers and non-believers, and invite them in. So I think there's kind of a center place there. And that's where Ironclad's headed. That's what the conversation has been for really loudly for the last year and a half. And there's a kind of a wild journey to get there. And so I'll share that in time. We've got tons of books and things that we've read and so many things that kind of pointed to the Bible and then Bible stuff that points back to the best wrestling training or scientific sports training available. And so there's really so much there. Anyways, we're going to share all that here, man. We're just going to dump it. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. Let me look over here on the other side. Man, I am looking at all kinds of messages over here on the side. Painful, guys. I cannot see your comments on Facebook and YouTube, it looks like. But I can see some stuff over here in the comments on IG. So I'm gonna try to keep up with those. Yeah, so let me just lay this down. So this time of year we get a ton of, so I kind of gave a background. We get a ton of questions this time of year, right? Questions about people who are trying to get in the club season. We also get a lot of people who are interested in starting wrestling for the first time. And so I want to kind of address a few things, the advice that I've had this conversation 40 times in the last 2 weeks. Actually, in the last week, I've probably had it 100 times in the last 2 weeks. So everybody's thinking about trying to join a wrestling club. If you're not familiar, basically in the school year, your club kids wrestle for high school. Everybody, those guys tend to have a lot of success. I was really proud we had crazy amount of success this year. I really don't want to share numbers. Let me just say this. So I'll get asked two questions. One, how did our guys do at the state tournament? And two, hey, we're thinking about joining the wrestling club. Those are the two major questions that we get this time of year. And so I'm just going to kind of address those to everybody. And I want to talk a little bit about kind of what that looks like so we can have a little more holistic view of it. Number one, I was crazy proud of our squad at the state tournament. We had a wildly successful year. For years, I spent several years counting the number of champions that we had. And at first that was like the coolest thing. And then at some point that started to become like this numbers game to me. And I started focusing on like kind of winning and beating the score instead of athlete transformation and helping who wanted help. And I found that was a real like slippery slope for me in terms of doing my best and being my best as a coach. And so we haven't counted numbers in the last couple of years. My brother did count some numbers because he was curious, and I was just like, keep those numbers away from me. I don't want to know. But he was like, yeah, some of the numbers he said were really high. I didn't count those names and say who they are for two reasons. One is I get kind of lost in that. I don't want to get lost in the weeds over how many champs we had. In 2016, the first year that we had a club, the first year, 1/3 of the kids who won an Alabama high school state title were active members paying and training nightly at my practice, our practice back then. And so we started out of the gate with a lot of success, and we continue to have a lot of success. There is this really weird thing that happens now. But we probably started this honestly because our kids were asking for gear. We'd give them a t-shirt and all stuff. Like we started this if I'm being totally honest. But now there's this kind of thing where the state tournament turns into who does everybody get to claim for like club and marketing and whatever else. And I invited it, frankly. But we've really tried to pivot away from that for a few reasons. What I see right now in the wrestling world in Alabama, I'm just talking about Alabama. Maybe if you're living in some other state, maybe you see this. Everybody's trying to like brand the kids that are winning as theirs. And unfortunately, fortunately, there's a lot of cross training that happens. Unfortunately, that is not a two-way street. We have a lot of kids that cross train. We have a lot of kids that are the kids that we do that they're in other clubs that cross train or do privates with us or whatever else. Like we just don't talk about because I don't know. Everybody else gets shamed if their coach finds out that we allow cross training or whatever, or they cross train with us. So yeah, there's this weird thing that has happened where, if you've ever done a private lesson with a kid, they're yours or whatever else, and whoever gets claimed and not claimed, like that all turns into this like debauchery, and there's like this whole below the line thing that happens because, well, it just invites all this drama in politics of like, he didn't really coach him. They're just trying to pad. No, like, I don't know. It's just stupid. So there are some people, we haven't started doing this yet, but we've been bragging on some people and just celebrating some people that we're really proud of. There were a ton of kids when I was running out the state tournament. I was thinking about stories and favorite memories that we have with all these athletes. And so, we're going to try to tell some stories. We are going to try to put some shine on some people. The other reason why we have hesitated to do that is because it's been brought to my attention that we have offended a lot of people over the years by who did and didn't get posted on a video or something like that. The funny part of that is like, I haven't been in charge of posting for many years. I'm getting back to that, I guess, and trying to reconnect with everybody and go live here and whatever. But yeah, so we had a bunch of kids. They had success. We were really proud of them. We're going to try to put some shine on some of those guys and celebrate them. And because we're appreciative, it's been fun to be a part of the journey. Like I'm thinking of kids right now that I remember last summer in Fargo and in Southeast Regionals and at a little local tournament, wherever. Like there's all these funny moments. So we want to kind of tell those stories and those moments because life is full of moments. The wrestling journey should be full of moments. And we should be able to celebrate those. And I want to do that in a way that everybody doesn't get butthurt about whoever you're bragging on or pulling in or whatever else. So all those things. So number one is our guys are great. We're going to try to tell that story a little bit. Hopefully we can not hurt everybody's feelings or step on their toes as we talk about people and not about others. The second part of that is about finding a wrestling club because at the state tournament, the people who have the most success across the board, it's like 90. I mean, the stats are ridiculous over who has success. They all wrestle in a club. They train in a club because in Alabama, wrestling is like basically 3.5 months long. And then the rest of the time you go to your club. Now, Alabama does have this really, really lame rule that you can't go to your club in season. And it's kind of funny because Ironclad kids like kind of follow that rule because when they don't, people call about our kids who are going to beat their kids. It's retarded. But now you can show up at these high schools who have clubs and there's kids practicing there on the weekend from all sorts of states. It's a stupid thing. Okay. I need to let that go is what I need to do. So yeah, we had like basically club kids win. That's what happens. It's not a secret that if you train 12 months a year, you're going to be a lot better than the kid who trains 3 or 4. It's not a secret that if you're plugged in and a part of a community and you got great, you've got training partners that are like that. And when I say training partners, what I mean is other people that have aspirations and want to work hard. I don't mean that they're like, you have another state champ at your weight. Yeah, when you're plugged in and you're getting teaching and education and truth and you're getting inspired, motivated and plugged into events, of course, you are going to have success. I think we understand that. So, this time of year, parents need to go, they need to go check out wrestling clubs. The way that looks if I can explain that to parents when I'm talking to parents here. Okay, so here's our advice on finding a wrestling club. All right. So we'll clip this and give this to everybody. But what is your advice on finding a wrestling club? Number one is most people go to the first club that they are invited to. Okay, I think that wrestling clubs are a lot like churches. Okay, maybe you understand this, maybe you don't understand it. I'm going to explain. Wrestling clubs are like churches. Most people go to the first one that they got invited to. That's number one. Okay. Second is if it's not the first one they got invited to, they go to the one that is closest. If they're looking for one, they go to the one that is closest. Okay. Ding. That's number two. The third thing that they do is they start looking up and asking about price. Okay. They're like, hey, how much is it? Price. All right. And then the fourth thing that they do is start talking about like where their friends going. Sometimes 4 becomes 3 and 3 becomes 4. Sometimes those are flip flopped. Parents care about price. Kid cares about friends, social aspect. Okay. So there's 4 things. I'm going to talk about those. I hate to call them mistakes, but I'm going to talk about these 4 things and what I've learned and the advice that we give every single parent that comes in this room. Okay. Number 1, wrestling clubs are like churches. Don't just go and stay at the first one that you visit. We tell everybody to visit a few. When someone is standing in our club and they're thinking about signing up, we say, hey, we give everybody a free week trial. Check it out. And when I say, and if you have any doubts whatsoever, you should go visit somewhere else and go see what it's about, because there's all kinds of different clubs, just like there's all kinds of different churches. Okay. They have different leaders. They have different belief systems. They have different do's and don'ts. They have different culture, all those things. Okay. My goal is not to tear anybody else down. I'm not going to do that, but I am very particular and I'll even say proud of the culture that we have here. There's lots of new people who are coming in who have been at other places, and we have some people that leave here and go other places. Like it's everybody, there's more than enough to go around. It's not a scarcity mindset. There's more than enough to go around. So we're going to continue to coach whoever shows up at our gym, just like the people who, they preach to whoever shows up at church, right? But go and visit a few. And anybody that's trying to wall off being able to go and visit or do whatever else, I would say I would start to question them. Okay, so number 1, convenience. Wrestling clubs are like churches. So I think that you should. Let's pause. Let's go back to what everybody cares about. Okay, first thing is convenience. They're looking for the one that's closest by. Rarely is the church that's closest to you going to be the best church for you to go to. If you live in the South or you live in Birmingham, you drive past a lot of churches to get to your church if you go to church. Okay. And so check that out. Visit a few. All right. Second thing is I would start to ask some questions. Know what you're looking for. Know what you're looking for. And that's really the problem with wrestling, is that people don't know what to look for. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know what to, what is important and what's not important. And so when you show up and you don't know anything, and then there's somebody who's trying to sell you, there's a really easy imbalance of power, imbalance of knowledge and information. And so that person can kind of say whatever, and you go, that's what we're supposed to do. So we want to debunk all those false things. We're going to talk about what's most important for your athlete's development, the different buckets of training, the different buckets of development. Like there's all these different things. And we think that the more informed everybody is, the better. The hardest thing is kind of saying this all first and kind of corralling the tribe. I'm way back here away from Mike, corralling the tribe so people can understand and know what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. Also trying to figure out how the heck this stream works, because I don't know yet. I am live. What's up, Coach Marcus?
What's up, guys?
We're on the interwebs. What's up, man? Say hello.
Hello, interwebs. How are you guys? What's up, guys?
All right. I'm back at it.
Hey, I need to talk to you about our parking lot.
Yep.
Our parking lot's full.
Okay.
It's full.
I'll talk to you about it in a minute.
I'm going to talk.
Thanks so much. Don't do that yet. Stop. Don't do that. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. So, man, I hate him that I allowed him to open the door. Love your brother, hate your brother. Okay, so churches, they're like churches. Don't go to the closest one. Ask questions about the leader. The word says that you'll know my people by their fruit. So most people are shopping by convenience, price, and peers, the social thing, where they're friends. Okay, number 1, convenience. The advice that we give everybody, we need to clip this all and I'll tighten it up and everything else. I'm just kind of hanging out, and because this is how my brain works. So convenience, we always tell people, hey, yeah, don't go to the closest one. The first guy that ever came into a camp for me was in 2012. Coleman Scott came in. He lived in Pennsylvania. Coleman Scott's Olympic bronze medalist, Division I head coach for a long, long time. He's a stud. Okay. And he said that he lived in Pennsylvania, which is the hotbed of wrestling, Mecca, and he drove 2.5 hours one way to practice. Okay. Now, if that's not correct, he needs to tell me. But he drove to Angry Fish Wrestling Club because that was where he needed to go, and he drove past all kinds of really good wrestling clubs to get to that one. That was what he did. All right. We have a lot of people who drive an hour and a half one way to practice. That's not really crazy. I would say more, 2 hours plus. There, you should be able to find a good wrestling club in 2 hour radius. And I'm not advocating that you're ready for that, but just if you drive an hour to an hour and a half, that's not crazy. When I was in high school, we would leave high school practice. You would go to club practice, and if you didn't hit traffic, it was 35 minutes, and if you did, it was 75 minutes, and that's what it took. Right. So, make sure that just go find the right place that you need to be in. Okay. Uh, I have a parent who called. They live about an hour and a half away. His kid is 8, and he was like, "Hey, we're all in." He had an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and he was like, "Hey, we're all in this and this training. We love everything. We follow on socials. We want to come. All the stuff, right?" And I was like, "Man, that's fantastic," And I said, "Here's the deal." He was like, "When do I need to be there? How much do I need to be there? Like all this stuff." And I said, my advice to him was, "Look, your kids are 8 and 10. Right now, it is not the most important that you drive an hour and a half one way to get to wrestling practice to train with us. It's not the most important thing right now. You could make plenty of progress locally for a while. One day, it is going to be important that you're plugged in with something better than I think what you're going to find locally. I believe I would want that for my kid. Okay, this is the advice that I would give my own brother or whatever, right? My spouse, someone else. So I said, one day you're going to want to drive this far. It's going to matter. Now, for you, you need to decide, are you going to when you get in the car right now or at some point, are you going to resent that hour and a half that you have to drive to get to wrestling practice, or are you going to enjoy it? Okay. Because when people who have graduated our program, who spent 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years in our program, and they're wildly successful. I'm thinking of a guy right now. I remember him saying, "You know what I miss the most? I miss those car rides to practice." The dad who told me this they spent 10 years in our program. He lives minutes away from where this guy was calling from and saying that they wanted to come. And I just said, "Look, this is what he told me." He said he would give anything to get in the car with his kid and drive. I know right now for our family, we get in the car and we drive one way. Like we get in the car to drive to be locked in together so we can spend time together. We just put all the phones away and hang out. So for parents, I would say, hey, this is like, if you understand how important wrestling is in terms of like the impact and the influence that wrestling coach has over your kid, you would be very particular about who coaches your kid and where and what and how long, like, because everybody wants the best for their kid. Like if you understood, we would make those informed decisions. You would probably be choosing differently. That's my belief. That's not a judgmental belief. I just think that there's room for all of us to go deeper in our understanding of child development, of wrestling training, of what works, what doesn't work. And I think that there's a lot of false teachers out there that are prescribing something other than what they subscribe to themselves, right? And I largely don't believe in that. I left a successful business with a guy I was coaching with, and we had a bunch of freaking winners. And I left and started Ironclad, but the premise early was that we were living two different lives. There was a life that he was subscribed to that was very different than what we were prescribing to, and that felt wrong. That felt false. And I couldn't lay my head down on my pillow at night doing that. Not everyone's convictions are the same. That is fine. That is theirs. Okay, but I think for a lot of people, they would like to know that that's kind of what's going on, right? That they would like to know and believe in someone who also lives the life that they are talking about and has lived the life that they're talking about to this kid, to their own kid, especially. I mean, it's like this, the same way that you want to, this doctor, like, it's like, hey, doctor, did you get your kids vaccinated? You didn't. Okay. Well, then why are you prescribing vaccination for me and my kids? Right. Like that kind of knowledge. Right. And so, We like and naturally, instinctively want that level of transparency. We want that level of authenticity, of truthfulness, where what you're telling me is what you did and what you would still prescribe today for your own kid. If you don't have kids, that makes it hard to relate to at that level. Okay. So convenience, that's number one. Is that drive going to be, are you going to see that time as investment with your kid? Are you going to be locked in and you get to spend an hour in the car listening to podcasts with your kid or having good conversation, asking about their day, spending that time? Like, then that all of a sudden that's pretty legit. That's an incredible time in those golden years of, you know, whatever, let's say 10 to 18 that you're not going to get. I mean, honestly, when they get to be 16, 17, you're probably not bringing them to practice anymore, but you just get a few years of that. And so I always tell parents, I'm like, hey, look, like, just make a decision and think about that. But I think when you think about what really matters, riding in your car with your kid might be like a blessing, not a curse. The second thing is price. Everybody's talking about price. Everybody talking about practice. Talking about practice. Need my post-game interview, Allen Iverson voice. Talking about price. When we're talking about price, man, I have two daughters. They're 8th and 9th grade. I remember when they were 4 and 5, maybe they were 5 and 6. I was paying $120. I think it was $100. I think it was $120 per person, per kid, for 1 hour of dance class per week. It was $100 for my 5-year-old for 1 hour of dance class per week. And I was broke. But you know what? I paid that because, well, I wanted my daughters to be ladies. That's why. It was a good investment. Like, hey, whatever it takes, because I don't know anything about being ladies, and I'm happy to pay for them to be a lady. Okay. Well, I'm going to offer to you that same wisdom about your boys. And look, girls can wrestle. I'm not, this isn't a boy girl wrestling conversation. We coach 95% boys. So I'm talking about boys because that's my perspective in this universe as being male. Why don't we have that same approach with our boys becoming men? Dad will spend any amount of money for his daughter to be a lady. Why don't we have that same level of wisdom or approach for our boys? I've met some who do. They say those things to me, but overwhelmingly, I'm going to say 80% or more don't really subscribe to that. It's like, they're boys. They're like dogs. They'll figure it out, right? Just leave him outside. He'll find a squirrel. He'll be all right. And so I just think there's a better way to do that. And open invitation to think about that. Okay. Man, if you want to talk price or whatever else, like, I mean, I don't want to make this a sales call, but like, I think it's beyond justifiable when we're talking about your kid's identity, your kid's self-confidence, your kid's, the skills he's going to learn, the things on the mat, but really more so the things off the mat. Okay. Our belief here at Ironclad is that if we make you a really good wrestler and you're not an excellent person, we failed. Making them good at wrestling is actually easy, right? That's why you got like dad in the corner who taught his kid a Turk, and he's like, yeah, because teaching a kid a Turk and helping him win a youth state title is easy. It's easy. It's literally easy. We have a dad. Well, he's this unfair to just say dad, but he is a dad, and he's coaching, has coached in Kentucky, and he picked up our like Ironclad system or whatever. He's got like a little youth program he's been running, whatever else in Kentucky, and coaching, developing, whatever else. He's been using our system up there. He texted me last night. I got a text like 10 o'clock at night. I'll sit on the couch, half faded, like just so tired. Phone chirps. I look down. It's from Chris. He says, hey, we won a youth, our team won a youth state this past weekend using your system. We've been working on it since Deep South Nationals in August. And he was like, it's game changing. And I was like, how about that for an endorsement? So my point is, winning, teaching kids what to do to get good at wrestling, that's like actually really, really easy. It's actually easy. Literally, you can have all of it. We've already filmed it. You can have it online. Like, you can have 20 years of my life for $20. Okay. That's easy. We want you guys to have access to the truth. And I'm tired of these like false teachers, these like dudes that are just whatever, man. I don't want to name call people, but that pride and arrogance that, like, a couple of wrestling moves is like, well, that's got to go. Wrestling's got ton of things in it. It's too good of a sport. It's got too many things in it that need to die. We're going to start talking about that here on this show, whatever, live. I don't even know what to call it. We're going to start talking about those things here. Last thing is peers. Everybody wants to go where their friends go. Everybody wants to go where their friends go. I would just say, man, you need to find the best group of kids that you can get your kids surrounded with. People tend to pull that in and talk about partners. That's the next P word, partners. We're going to break that down later when we're talking about partners. There's a lot of people that think that partners is the most important thing. And I would just ask that person how good they are at wrestling and what is their experience with partners, because that is a bit of a folly. That's been my experience, and I'm not saying partners aren't important or partners don't benefit, but if I could give you a quick anecdote, I'm looking at a huge bracket out here, Fargo bracket. Okay, Fargo champ, double finalist. Corey Land wrestled here. Okay, he also won the Dave Schultz High School Excellence Award, which is the Heisman Trophy for high school wrestlers. Okay, his number one training partner was a kid 3 years younger than him and like 20% lighter. He trained with Brody Christmas, who also became a 4-timer. But Corey didn't really have anybody like, there was other guys he's working out with. That's not fair. But like those other guys showed up and really became a thing later. His number one training partner was a guy that was smaller than him. I train with blue belts all the time. One of my coaches, Brandon Catherine, says, that's what blue belts are for. What he means is, like, hey, if you're trying to work on this skill, you go get a blue belt, go get somebody that's not very good and practice on them, and that's the best way to get better. He also liked practicing with girls because they were light. You don't take damage. You can like get reps. Basically, it's easy partners. I call it little brother because I have 2 little brothers. I grew up practicing all the technique and all the moves that I knew, which was not very many, on them. God love them. That's why they're both really good. Shout out to TB and Marcus. They're both studs. They're welcome for all those whippings. I don't grapple TB as much anymore because he's quickly catching up on the head count. Because he's crazy good at jiu-jitsu. Anybody who tells him that I said so is in trouble. Anyways, hey man, lot there. Listen, we're just trying to get some reps of this, trying to figure out what's up. If you guys want help with wrestling training, whatever it is, dude, if you got questions about anything, hit us up, shoot us a text, shoot us a DM. Happy to talk to you guys. We'll do some more breakdown stuff on this. I'm trying to just get a rep, make sure that we've got this thing running right and that it's all working. And we're trying to try to make this 4:00 hour, 4:00 Central, maybe a live time, a couple days a week. And or if there's another time that works for you, that works really well for you guys, would love to know. But I think this is a time slot that works for us. And just trying to figure out what that's about, man. Make it a thing for the wrestling community. We want to share some truth to you guys, have some talk and poke holes in our arguments. And if there's ways to be better, then we want to figure that out. That's kind of what it's all about, man. That is the way. Also got to figure out the StreamYard thing so I can see y'all's comments so I can talk to you, because that's more fun if we get to kind of hang out and talk back and forth. And I got you guys over here in the wind on Instagram. Looks like I got some guys, a couple guys send some messages to want to talk. Boom. I'm not sure. Yeah, you guys holler at us. Love to talk to you guys, man. God bless y'all all. Love you. Happy training wherever you're at. And hope to see you on that somewhere soon. Okay. Deuces.